Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 344, Black Angel.
Welcome, citizens of Meeple Nation. For the next 30 minutes, sit back and enjoy.
Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Enhance your gaming experience by visiting GameToppersLLC.com and checking out the awesome tabletoppers that they have. The Watson, the Mycroft, the other names from that series.
The Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
The Lestrade.
Moriarty.
No, this is my favorite. Let him keep going. This is quality radio at its apex right here.
They make such awesome products, super awesome tabletoppers. They'll take your ordinary, boring table, might be sticky, maybe you forgot to wash it, whatever. Put this fantastic, high-quality tabletopper on there. It's generally going to expand your table, make it bigger. It's going to give you a flat surface. Honestly, just awesome all the way around. GameToppersLLC.com.
And they're modular, so you can game nights at somebody's house who has a lame table. You can enhance somebody else's table as well.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Logan Howard.
I'm Andy Holliday.
I'm Nathan Howard.
And I'm Dave Holliday.
This week we are talking about Black Angel. Black Angel is a game from 1 to 4 players, best with 3 players. The designer is Sebastien Dujardin, Xavier Georges, and Alain Orban. I'm sure I butchered those names, and I apologize. The publisher is Pearl Games. This game is a space-themed game. Humanity, through its irresponsible behavior, has exhausted the natural resources of Earth, making it almost uninhabitable. In a burst of lucidity, pressed by the irreversible degradation of your planet, the great nations are forced to put aside their differences and share their knowledge in order to create the most vast spacecraft ever constructed. Thus, the Black Angel project is launched. The Black Angel is the first intergalactic frigate in history and must transport the genetic heritage of humanity beyond the known worlds over a journey that is likely to last several thousand years. Her crew will be composed of only robots, because no nation is willing to trust the creation of the AI that will control this crew or any other nation. A compromise is found. The Black Angel will be co-managed by several AIs, and the utility of each decision will be evaluated in validation process. At completion this long and perilous voyage, when a new inhabitable planet has been reached, the AI that has earned the most VP will be entrusted with reawakening humanity and overseeing its new start.
So essentially they become the Supreme Overlord, what you're saying. Okay.
You become the...
That sounds like an amazing goal. Supreme Overlord. If that was a job description, I would apply right now.
I don't think you would get it, but it would be good to apply.
But
maybe get to the interview. It'd be a nice interview, I'm sure.
Supreme Overlord isn't something you just interview for. You go to the interview and you plot against, you destroy, you poison the people in the interview. So they only have one person left.
You know, I'm glad that you have such aspirations, Logan.
Life goals. There you go.
You know, one thing I have to mention about this, the first thing I thought when we played this game was that the robots look like the robots from Doctor Who.
They do look like Daleks.
Very much so.
Yeah, especially when you put them in the little spaceships.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
They're flying Daleks all over the place.
I was never very scared of them. I tried watching Doctor Who, and the plunger just... It wasn't very terrifying.
Apparently you didn't see the episode where it sucked off people's faces.
It still wasn't very terrifying. But I get it. They were created way back in the day, and they only had so much props and everything.
Yeah, I've actually enjoyed a lot of the Doctor Who series. I didn't watch the old classic ones. I should go back and watch them, but they're no longer on Amazon Prime, so I can't watch them for free anymore. I made it through Matt Smith's series, and I made it to the older guy. I didn't quite finish with the older guy. I feel terrible that I'm just not naming these actors, because they do a good job, and they deserve to be named, but actors' names are not something that...
Sticks in your brain?
Sticks in my brain,
I'm with you.
I didn't finish that. The lady was in Broadchurch, which I actually really enjoyed. Became the latest Doctor. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. They look like Daleks, Andy.
They do. They look like Daleks. This game has a worker placement aspects to it. On the actual ship, there's locations where you can play now I'm going to say Daleks, your robots. The break room, I think, is what you were called.
They actually call it the break room.
It's called the break room, right? So you have all of your robots in the break room, plus you have 3 locations besides the break room. One location is going to give you a technology. You can learn a technology, pay for technology, but you're using dice. So everybody's going to roll at the beginning of the round.
There are different colored dice. So you have yellow dice, which represent the tech sector. You have gray dice and you have green dice.
Right.
You roll those dice, and the yellow die basically has to be used in the yellow section.
I'll take over.
Thank you, because, wow, I cannot remember this game.
So each player has a player board in front of them that has a 3x3 grid. They have starting tiles that are going to go on this grid, and they're placed in diagonal row. Each of those tiles give you action. The basic ones will give you either move your robots in a ship out negotiating missions outside the Black Angel. The other one will allow you to draw resource or debris. Then the other one will allow you to either gain a robot and add it to your supply, or take a robot from the break room and put it into one of the 3 sections. There's 3 different colors. There's a yellow section, a gray section, and a green section. And each of these sections represent a part on the ship. So on your turn, you're going to be able to take one of your active robots, and you begin with 5 active robots in the break room. There are 6 locations available to you that are on the Black Angel. There is a space where you can go to begin or work on a yellow mission, a gray mission, or a green mission. And then there's also a spot in the yellow section that will allow you to add new technology to your player board. And I'll come back to that in a minute. In the gray section, there's the part where you can repair damage that's happened. Because going through space is not a friendly journey. There's dangers that await you in space. There's aliens you can trade with. There's aliens that you can gain technology with. And then there's also reavers that are out there. Reavers will attack your ship. And so you have to use your robots to defeat the reavers that are on board the ship. And then as damage occurs on the ship, you have to use your robots to repair that damage. Each time a reaver comes, you flip over a reaver card and have one of the 6 sections on it. Put that reaver card there, and then that reaver will also damage that section. If it gets damaged once, then you play a yellow die. These die will have 1, 2, or 3 on it. If there's a damage on that section, you will have to reduce that die face by 1. Which, if you were going to attempt a mission, you want that 3 out there, because that will allow you to move further. Or if you're trying to buy technology, those pips represent currency. You go to repair damage, those pips represent how much damage you can heal. And then if you go to the reavers to fight off reavers, that represents how many reaver cards that you can get rid of. There's multiple reavers in a section. If you want to go to fight those reavers, you have to get rid of all the reavers that are there. You can split your damage if the situation arrives that there are reavers in a section that are less than your pip value. So meaning that if you have 3 on your pip value and you have one section that has 2 reavers and one section that has 1 reaver, you can eliminate both those sections of reavers. However, if you have a 1 on your die and there's 2 reavers in a section, you cannot eliminate those reavers because you can't eliminate all of those reavers.
So how often do you reroll these die? Or is it just a collection of die?
The number of die you have is determinant on the number of robots that you have in each of the 3 sections, the yellow, gray, and green section.
So it doesn't matter the pip, it just matters how many dice.
Rephrase your question, I'm not sure I understand.
So if there was the 2 groups of reavers, I had 1 die, but I roll it, how often would I re-roll it? Every round? Something that I can do to change it?
You deploy the die and use it for the action. So if the die has 2 pips on it, you go and you use those 2 pips for that action.
Okay, so it's more of a set thing.
The die is technically your worker for the worker placement.
Okay.
I forgot you hadn't actually played the game with us, Logan, so that's why I was misunderstanding the reason behind your question.
Which I was really happy, because from what I heard the next day, future Nathan was not happy with past Nathan.
No, that was definitely a bad night for Friday Nathan. Logan, on your turn, dependent on the number of robots that you have in each section, you will roll that many dice. So if I have 1 yellow, 1 gray, and 1 green, you're going to roll those 3 dice. Now, the nice thing about that is you can actually give resources to your opponent and steal one of their dice. Like if Dave has a die that has 3 pips on it, and all my die have 1 pip on it, then I'm going to take Dave's die. Give Dave a resource. And Dave cannot refuse this resource, and then I will take his die, and I will be able to use that. Now, Dave does also have the opportunity to spend resources to lock certain die at the end of his sequence B. To jump onto that real quick, on your turn, you have two choices. You can either do sequence A or sequence B. So on your turn, you must choose one of the two following sequences to attempt. And you'll play these sequences and you'll resolve them in order. Sequence A will allow you to play one of the cards that's in your hand. And anytime you play a die, so if I use my yellow die, at the end of that turn, I'm going to be drawing a yellow card. So you can play a yellow card, and if I play that yellow card on my player board, I will play it either to the left of my board or the bottom of my board, and then that card, dependent on the color, will allow me to activate. So if I play a yellow card in the left, I will look in the grid, and any yellow tile that is in that row, I will be able to take the action on them individually. And I'll take them in order. So I'll do the leftmost, then the middle, and then the right. And then in comparison, if I play one on the bottom, then I will look at that column and I will play them from bottom to top. Resolve each of those actions. So as you go out and you gain new technology cards, it behooves you to line those colors up.
One of the nice things, though, is if you collected Reavers, you can play a red one on the left or on the bottom, and that will activate all of the tiles that you have in that row or column, right?
Yeah, regardless of what their color is.
Right.
Sequence A, you can play that, and that's an optional thing. Step 2 is you will perform an action with one of the die. One of the die from your pool or from another player's pool, if you paid a resource to acquire their die, then you will play that matching colored die in the matching color section of the ship. Either that yellow, that gray, or that green section of the ship. Like I said previously, each one of those has a mission option, and then you have that other option that is in a section of the ship. After you've completed that action, draw a card matching the color of the die you played. Put the chosen die into the recycle pool. There's a section between the mission and the other option that's there. At the end of your phase, that die will go to the common pool. Be available for you or other players to claim that when they opt for section B, sequence B. You have those dice that are in front of you. You also have the option, instead of spending a resource to draw somebody else's, you can actually spend a debris, can flip that die to its opposite face. It's always a difference of 2. So 1 will go to a 3, 2 will go to a 0. Faces that are on the die is a 2, a 3, and a 1 and a 0. The other option is you can do sequence B. And sequence B is you will re-roll your dice. You won't have any dice in front of you, but you will look at the robots that you have in each of the sections, the yellow, the gray, or the green section. And the number of robots that you have in each of those sections will determine how many dice of that color that you're going to roll. Now, it could turn out that there's no dice or there's not enough dice to be able to claim that match that color. And if that happens, that stinks. But you roll what you can claim, or you claim what you can, and then you will roll those dice. You have the opportunity that you can spend a resource to reserve just a single one of those dice, making it so your opponents can't steal or use your dice. And then you will reset your player board. You will take all cards that you've played. Because jumping back to sequence A, if I play a yellow card on the left, that's the only card I can play there. I can't play a second card. The very most, you can play 3 cards on the left and 3 cards on the bottom. At that point, that option to add a card is no longer available. And then you will also clear off any debris that may be on your grid. And then you will advance the Black Angel. We've been talking about the board where we have all of our robots on. Now there's a second grid board that is to the front of the ship that shows the path that the Black Angel is taking. It's going to be an odd number of tiles so that the Black Angel is always in the middle of that section, depending on the number of players. Black Angel will move forward 1, so you'll take the tail tile, the tile that is furthest back. The Black Angel is zooming past that. You'll take that tile, you'll flip it over, and you'll put it in front of the Black Angel, and then center it back onto the board so that, once again, that Black Angel is in the center grid. Any mission cards that are on that will fall off. If I, as a player, own those, I can add those to my player board. On the rightmost section of your player board is a section for yellow cards, gray cards, and green cards.
And there's some
tuck under your board, right?
Yeah, and there's some mission cards that you get bonuses or benefits when they drop off. It's always a good thing when they drop off, as long as you have a robot on there.
Except you lose your robot. Black Angel moves and you lose those 5 hexes. If any robots and ships and stuff that you have out there, you lose them. They go back to the supply, basically. So you've got to figure out a new way to get more out.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing I liked about this game is you have just the board itself essentially 2 boards. You have the board where you have the representation of the Black Angel, the ship you're on, flying through space, and the crescent-shaped tile, the 5 hexagons that are moving with the ship. And then you have the internal part of your ship where all your robots are and all the actions you're taking and everything else. I thought that was kind of a cool concept. We have the inside of your ship and then the outside of your ship. And when robots exit to go complete missions outside of the ship, they leave the physical ship that's on the other board. I thought that was kind of neat.
There are several kind of unique mechanics that I thought were cool too. Like you mentioned with the representation of inside versus outside the ship and the ship's movement and how you do that by moving those tiles. Quite a bit, actually. This game's very unique in everything. And I thought that was cool. That's always something I'm looking for.
All right, I let my Firefly tongue slip. Aliens that attack the ship are not called Reavers.
Oh.
They're called Ravagers.
Ravagers, okay.
Isn't
I'm
that
pretty
what they
sure
called
when...
in Firefly?
No, they're called Reavers.
Reavers in Firefly.
I think we called them Reavers
I think we called it, the entire time we played it.
That's
Because
my fault. That's totally my fault. Yeah,
Well, there's
they
a
are
lot
called
of copyright going on. We already talked about the Daleks.
the Daleks, yeah.
Dalek.
There's no R in there.
I don't care.
All right.
Their plunger
Allowed.
still scares me.
Their
so
plunger
whatever.
still scares you, yes. So the Ravagers are the aliens out to destroy the Black Angel.
That's one thing that I also noticed that I didn't like. Maybe it's by design, but in order to fight off the Ravagers, you have to discard a Ravager card. Throughout the game, I'd used my Ravager cards with red cards to activate my technologies, because it'll activate all colors of Technology Row. I found myself without any Ravager cards and could no longer fight off Ravagers to get more Ravager cards. So that's one thing that if you play the game, make sure you don't use your last Ravager card because then you're stuck. You can't go back and get... Not only that, I struggled getting green dice as well after that to buy a die if I wanted to get a green die because I didn't have any robots in the green area.
There's a lot of variability. In my plays, anyways, I found games have been skewed different ways because of where I put my robots or where I maybe didn't put my robots. Game with you guys, I was terrible at achieving missions. And who won that game, by the way?
James and I tied.
Yeah, I did terrible that game because I was busy working on stuff in the core ship. I was repairing the ship, fighting off Ravagers, and the missions that I was attempting, by the time I would get those to come to fruition that would benefit me, you guys were advancing the Black Angel. It'd fall out of the range of the ship before I could even take advantage of it. So before I'd even completed the mission, my ships, my Daleks, and my UFOs were gone, right? I didn't get a chance to use them. That was very different playing a 4-player game as opposed to playing a single-player game. I felt that things were just moving way too fast.
Totally.
Yeah, it did move very quickly.
We started the game late in the evening. Everybody was tired.
I think we actually started early in the morning.
We probably did, yeah. But everybody was tired. As long as it took explaining and re-explaining the same concepts, because everybody was tired and I was tired as I was explaining them. But the game went really fast, I thought. In fact, I thought it went way too fast for me for anything that I was setting up. If I wanted to set up a mission, I had to fly way ahead of Black Angel, start that mission there. Unless I was trying to do missions like James that we were playing with, he was getting all these bonuses for missions that he got points as they fell off.
And he kept getting the same ones. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I felt the same way with you, like it was way too fast. And I know that's weird hearing that come from me, that the game was too fast, but I felt the same.
I've noticed that's how you get points. You have to do the mission. Otherwise, you just fall way behind if you cannot get points for missions. You have to get your robots out there, get them out of the ship. You have to get missions completed. Otherwise, you just get left behind. And you can't catch up at that point.
I was behind the whole game. And I actually ended up fairly close. I think it was only like 6 points behind everybody. End missions were getting me points off my player board, which is where I got the bulk of my points at the end of the game. I was within 6 points of Dave. But Dave and I were still like 20 points behind you guys.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I got my butt kicked.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. And I was destroying everybody at the beginning, but James caught up very quickly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game. Had a ton of fun with it. One thing that we didn't talk about is that there are advanced technologies that you can buy. Also, when you use the yellow die to buy these advanced technology cards. And the advanced technology cards will allow you to change how many points you can score off of tucked missions that have fallen off behind Black Angel. Those technologies will allow you to also get bonus points dependent on the number of robots you have or the number of yellow technologies you have on the board, the number of completed missions of specific color, allow you to score points for each technology that you've pushed off of your board. Because if you push a 4th technology on your player board, that one that you shove off, it gets discarded in your supply so that you can score some points for that at the end of the game.
That's one strategy nobody did when we played. I would have liked to have seen that. We really didn't see technologies getting pushed off the boards. Or the advanced technologies. I don't think a single person bought one on the game we played. That would have been interesting to see someone try that strategy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
To see how well it worked.
And in the games that I played prior, I was all about the technology. In this 4-player game, I was doing everything to try to keep up.
Yeah, you guys thought it was a race for the galaxy?
I like games where you have lots of different strategies. I think that's best. I really don't like games where somebody else can sit in the corner and tell me how to take my turn. They already know the best way for me to get the points. Having the options to do what I want, maybe it's not the same thing that Andy would have done, but...
Totally agree with you, Logan.
So let me ask you this, Nathan. Since you've played this more than the rest of us, do you feel like that's not a viable strategy in a game that moved as quickly as the one that we played?
I think it depends on what technology tiles are out there, and it depends on what cards you have in your hand, what missions you have, and how technology tiles that are available, mission cards that you complete, and how those correlate with what advanced technology cards are out there. That works out. That can be a lot of points for you. Whereas the game that we played, the 4-player, and that was the only one that I've played 4 players, felt that we were in an effort to do missions, and to any of the technology that we picked were technology to help advance those missions. Whenever you attempt a mission, Black Angel will take damage depending on the number of Ravager marks that are adjacent to the space where you begin the mission. If another mission has covered a Ravager, then you don't count that spot. But any visible Ravager icon that's on the board is going to damage the Black Angel. I got a lot of points by repairing the Black Angel. When you repair the Black Angel, you pull that damage off, it becomes debris. And you can take that debris and you can put it onto your player board. Use one of the actions. So you put the debris on that action spot, and then I can take that action. Which was a huge benefit for me because I wasn't doing missions. And that was the only way I was getting robots. It was the only way I was getting dice. Because I had robots and I was able to move those robots from the break room to the sections to be able to claim more dice. And then also gave me the opportunity to fight the Ravagers. Everybody else was focused. And like you said, Andy, you ran into that point where you had no Ravager cards.
So I have a question. So maybe I missed this. Black Angel, if it gets destroyed, does everybody lose?
Yes.
Not cooperative, but everybody's victory is hinged on keeping that alive. So, like, somebody had to do what you were doing. It wasn't just a strategy. It was, if nobody did this, then we were going to lose.
It's not going to destroy the Black. It's not something that we're all going to lose together. The game will end in one of 2 ways. The Black Angel figurine arrives at Spes, which is the planet humanity decided where they wanted to have the AI develop their DNA samples. Or the Ravager deck becomes empty, which is essentially Black Angel is destroyed or has been commandeered by the Ravagers.
If you didn't do that, if you didn't take it upon yourself to fix the Black Angel, would it really handicapped everybody?
Yes, it does handicap everybody because if I wasn't repairing the Black Angel, then all that damage is accrued. If anybody goes to attempt one of the missions, if that mission location has 2 damage dice on it, that 3 pip face die, because that section has 2 damage on it, that changes that 3 pips down to 1 pip.
It's almost like a game of chicken, right? If you're going to play again, you probably want to focus on fixing Black Angel. You don't want to put it off. You want other people to help out, but you don't want to spend all of your resources and time doing that.
I think it kind of depends on cards that you have and the tech that's available.
Exactly.
The cards that you have can very much dictate choices that you make. You could have 3 cards that work really well together if you use them as missions. 3 missions that could really do great together. And so you're going to focus on to go do missions. Those sorts of things can totally change what you feel like you need to do.
Definitely benefits to fighting off the Ravagers because you get those red cards, which is going to activate all of your colors of technologies in one row. So fighting off the Ravagers is hugely beneficial.
For sure.
Removing damage, maybe not so much unless you have a mission for it. It does give you the resources for it.
It allows you to activate, even if you played a card to activate that row, and so you've already activated that tile, repairing the ship will still allow you to activate that same tile again.
The other thing that affects if you choose to do one of those things is your die roll. For me, the only time I really wanted to go and do those actions is when I had a 3 in that color. So if I had a 3 gray on my gray die, then I might go clear the debris tokens. Or if I had a 3 on my green die, then I can go collect 3 Ravager cards, 3 red cards that I can use to activate a bunch of abilities. Heck yeah, I'm going to do that. So depending on the cards that you had, depending on the die roll and all that.
And where you put your robots, because that's going to determine which dice you have.
Right.
I didn't have a lot of robots in the gray area, which is what you use to repair the ship. So I didn't get to take that repair the ship action very often because I did not have very many gray dice. I was actually using those dice to put the gray missions. I wasn't using them for the repair.
So I think that gives us a good overview of Black Angel. There's a lot to discover, and there's a lot of strategies. The game I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed my solo plays. I've enjoyed playing with less than 4 players. I haven't played with 3, which is that optimal number. 1, 2, and 4 I've played with. 4 moved way too fast for me, but that was just mostly because of the cards that I had. And I mean, somebody won, right? So I was in last place doesn't mean that I necessarily played poorly. It's just didn't necessarily manage what I had correctly. I enjoy the game. What did you think, Dave?
I thought it was good. It's definitely one I'd like to do again. Like I said, I really enjoy the uniqueness of it. Anytime a game introduces a lot of new concepts, I'm going to find that enjoyable. And I really enjoy the theme. I think the theme works really well, especially with the inside the ship and the outside the ship. That I think it works really well together, how they did it.
Hopefully we'll be able to play it so that way I can have a chance to experience it for myself.
I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's a good game.
Plungers and all.
I agree. I definitely would play it again.
Until next time.
We'll see you in deep space. Getting to space. Avoiding the Daleks and the Ravengers. Not
Being
the
an
Reavers.
interstellar janitor and removing the derbies.
I don't think you want to avoid the Daleks.
You want to command the Daleks.
I'm lost at the derbies. The what?
You're cleaning up the spaceship, so you're an interstellar janitor? Taking the derbies. Pieces of garbage.
Oh, debris.
The debris.
Oh, derbies, okay. It's never funny when you have to explain it.